Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's me, Tshego, and today I'm with Amon.
Yeah, welcome guys, welcome.
And today our topic is um how growing up in the middle class can limit your mindset. Now, what inspired this topic was my own life, having grown up in a household where life was comfortable. And with that, I realized that I cruised most of my life. And in a sense, the comfort limited my mindset. But we have observed, even here in Zim, in the community that we're part of, that a lot of kids who grew up in the middle class have the same problem. And not just the kids, but even the grown ups. So I'm going to ask Amon to share with us his observation concerning this.
Yes, I think it's true. Even if you look at schools, if you look at private school, mostly I've seen that mostly a private school, you find out that the poor, because of the push that you know that you're poor, they're always pushing to achieve, and they mostly achieve academically, really, because they know and they are coached even as they leave home to remember what they're there for. But when you're in the middle class, like you don't know that you're actually poor because you're not, and at the same time you're not rich. So you easily just get into a school. You go into a school and you play. Or you normally find yourself playing with the rich, um, and um, and because you don't know a lack, and because it's like where there's something that happens in between, because you don't know an abundance and you don't know a lack, you can easily stay content in the in between, while really outside the world is no place for in betweens.
Yeah. So I observed that, yeah, the if you grow up in the middle class, you've got no hustle experience.
That's true.
And so when I was in bots, I was used to a place where I worked in business offices. And I know that people in Zim will say, but Zim is the same because you probably work in a business office. But majority of the population actually they work on the streets. They are hustlers.
Yeah, not really. Even well, those who work in a business offices, really, as much as them, most of them who are not from a middle class, they are hustling something else. They'll be at work. They'll be selling Tupperware. They'll be at work. They'll be, you know what I mean. There's always a hustle. They are either hustling something. Even the bosses, they are hustling something. So yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was saying that. So, I did realize that I didn't have the hustle in me to push that way, but neither am I rich to survive from, like how rich people survive. You take over your father's business and you run a company like that. Yeah. So, but now that we established that the comfort of the middle class can limit yourself to push yourself, is there hope for someone who grew up in the middle class, do you think?
Yes, there is. I think they're at a better position. It's like you're starting from the middle than from someone who's starting from someone who's poor. In a way, the idea is like you just have to dream. You have to push. You have to have that hustle born and push. And we are not saying it's a general rule, but we have seen from where we are that the majority, a bigger percentage, there are people who are from the middle class who hustle, who push, who achieve more. But what we've seen, there is a higher percentage of people in the middle class who stay in their comfort zone, and they really don't make it in life. It's like your parents were pushed from where they were, because they were the poor at one point in time, and they made it rich, but not so rich. They made it into the middle class, and it's kind of like a chain that actually goes through. And like any other chain, what happens is when you identify who you are, where you are, and then you can have a break. So yes, there is a hope, regardless where you are, whether in the middle class or from you're poor or even you're rich and you want to get more rich, you don't want to lose your
Yeah.
wealth.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of housing, there's something that I've realized. Sometimes people that are considered to be low income families, they can actually have houses, while people who are like in the middle class have got no houses. And the reason is, again, that hustle mentality. Someone with low income, like sometimes we see it in the rurals. Of course, most of the people are low income. You've
Mm.
got people who work in town, but they're still low income. And a lot of people in the rural areas, they own their own houses. And some of the people, you wouldn't think that you look at the house and think of it of like it's a rural house anyway,
Mm.
but the reality is they have got the freedom of ownership of which someone else with a comfortable income has is renting a comfortable house, and then you don't have ownership, and every month the owner of the house is wanting pay. And now the stress of it is that if you lose your job, sometimes it makes your family jump from place to place, looking for a place to stay.
Yes. I think the what people don't actually understand, I was going to use a pain, fear is a big drive. And when those things are taken away, when you are comfortable, being middle class, it means you're comfortable really to begin with. You never stress, you've got a good job. You never stress that you're going to lose your job. You never stress about paying rent because you get paid enough to pay rent and you get paid enough to buy your food. And really, you can easily get comfortable in order for you not to dream. I've had friends where you know them for years and you find out you think the house they're staying in they own them. You find out they were renting, and because they're comfortable, they've got the job, they get paid comfortable enough. In their mind, never crosses to have something of your own, really, unless you are a person who thinks outside the box. And mostly, people who think outside the box is because they've experienced one of the two: fear of not having, or they've experienced pain of sleeping without eating, or pain of moving houses after houses. And then in that way, you have the pressure that I'm going to build something of my own, even if it's a one room, even if it's a two room, I'm going to have something of my own. So that I've seen that when you're comfortable, you never think. It's like, think about it, a lot of people who get comfortable salaries, they never think of doing a side job. Like, just to use an example, most people in Botswana, they are like that. They are dependent on their job, that they never think of a side hustle. And then when they retire, when that job stops, it's like even their pension, at least it can take care of them. But here in Zim, people have experienced that. People have experienced that not even pension that you take, when you get given it will consider to nothing. You can't even survive of that. So people subconsciously, they always have a conscious of making a plan that's not depending on their salary 24/7.
Yeah. I think COVID was a wake up call though for a lot of people. Like even in bots that you're talking about, there was a time when the hustle came out of the people. And it's not to the degree that Zimbabweans are hustlers, but I think it woke them up that if COVID happened, something like that can happen again in the future. But would you say that you would have like a reference from scripture for the things that you're talking about? Can
It's a pattern in the scripture. So we might not talk about poverty, but we look at a pattern of kings and serving God. It's like those who got rescued in the beginning, they serve God. And then their children, they don't have a personal experience with God. They know about God, they don't know God. And then what follows is their children, they become worse. So those who do not have their own personal relationship with God, they're like, you are in the middle class. You're in the middle class. That's where, for me, I would look at it like where Jesus talks about it. It's, I've just learned a recent thing actually from someone, and he said, a principle should work all around. And for me, one principle that I see
from Myron Golden.
Yes. And a principle is that Jesus says it's either you're hot or cold. If you're not or hot, if you're not hot, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out. And it's either you're poor or you're rich. If you're middle class, you find out that with time, the society spits you out. The system spits you out. I've seen a lot of middle class people, children, actually struggle more than the poor people. People who had gone to schools that we look down at, who had gone to government schools and stuff. They are the who's and the shakers in Bulawayo alone, if I could actually say that. They are the lawyers. They are doing insurance. They are doing this. These are boys who were at Milton, who were at other schools that are not private schools. And we have seen private school kids actually, because they're middle class, struggling, being at shops, begging
for money,
begging for dollars and
to
stuff,
buy alcohol, cigarettes.
So I see that principle from the Bible is either you're hot or cold. If you are in between, the system spits you out. And I'm sure there's many other ones as well where you look at in terms of middle class. But for me, middle class comes to the scripture where Jesus talks about the talents. When he talks about the talents, he gives different people talents, and those who are given talents, the one with most, and he uses it, he's given more, and the one with whatever he's given is given more. But if you're in the middle class, it's like you are keeping your talent. You are just burying your talent, and it's taken away. It's taken away and given to someone else. And the same as appreciation. I feel like I remember one person once asked that when you could wake up tomorrow, if you could wake up tomorrow with all the things that you appreciated or you gave thanks for yesterday, what would you wake up with? And I feel like sometimes being in the middle class, you can get entitled. You take things for granted because you don't know what it is to wake up without a plate of food. So you just take those things for granted. You take things for granted of waking up and going to school and your school fees are paid for. You just take all those things for granted. And sometimes the things that you take for granted get taken away from you. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, the goal of the video is to make us realize, particularly when you've grown up in the middle class, that you have a certain mindset and your settings are comfort, and the comfort makes you to have no desire for more. Yes. And in a sense, we become like selfish. We've just got enough for me, myself, and my family. And so the selfishness of it is we're not thinking that I need this book in the bed. We're not thinking that if I had more, I could help someone else.
I could be a blessing to other people.
I could be a blessing to other people. So yes, just what I wanted to share with you guys today. I just based on my own experience and my own observations. But if you've got a story to share with us, if there's a certain comfort levels that you've been operating from, a certain lukewarmness that have come from being comfortable that you want to share, please don't forget to share in the description, in the comments below. And please, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with others, and subscribe. Yeah. So until next time,
bye.
Bye.